Welcome to the Get OnPoint Business Podcast, where I talk with entrepreneurs, founders, and business owners to explore their journeys, lessons, and insights, as well as uncover the stories behind the successes and challenges of building a business. I'm Jason Mundy, a certified business and executive coach, operating advisor, and fractional chief marketing officer, as well as the founder and president of OnPoint Business Advisors. Today, I'm excited to welcome a very, very special guest, Lydia Sierra. Lydia is the founder of Lydia Sierra Consulting, full-service firm that handles the administrative, technical, and strategic support for nonprofit organizations who need expertise in fundraising and development. Lydia brings over 30 years of expertise in community-based nonprofit leadership with deep expertise in organizational and fund development. She's a Bronx native and lifelong advocate for underrepresented urban communities, and she helped raise tens of millions of dollars to support grassroots initiatives in a variety of community sectors. Lydia has an amazing story of how she got here. So Lydia, welcome to the podcast and thanks for being my guest. Let's dive in.
Well, thank you for having me, Jason.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So yeah, tell us your story. First of all, you have an amazing origin story. So tell us about that from early on and how you got to where you are today.
Yep. So I am the oldest of five, and I was raised in the Bronx during the 70s, 80s. I raised my children in the 90s, and it was rough. It was rough. My parents, they both died addicted to drugs. They both died with AIDS. And me and my siblings, we all had to, fend for ourselves. We scattered, went different places, and it was tough. It was a tough upbringing, from the affordable housing crisis, the burning buildings of the Bronx, in the 70s, of people being burned out of their apartments in the middle of the night, the crack epidemic, turning families against each other, AIDS, seeing our loved ones, being experimented on, with all of, the experimental drugs of that time. It was very difficult, and
Mhm.
I was a bright-eyed, smart girl, and my first job was at 10 years old, filling out applications for public assistance for people who couldn't speak in English. And I would get like $5 for an application. And, I realized, from early on that I could serve my community.
Mhm.
And At the age of 18, I decided to go back to school. First of all, at 18, I was I already had two children. I had dropped out of school at the age of 14, and at 18 I went back to school, got my GED, went straight to college, and went started interning at a private facility that provided support groups for people living with AIDS. And that's how I started, as a co-facilitator. I was
Wow.
18, but I believed that I could save the world. I had, one parent who had full-blown AIDS, and then, one parent who died quickly, which was my mom. And I just had this experience. It was my why, and also the nonprofit sector was a safe place for me to work with my trauma. And so I've been healing, and I continue the healing journey within the nonprofit sector, doing what I do.
That's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. A lot of us think we had tough childhoods. Um, that really that takes the cake. That is absolutely amazing, and to see where you came from and where you are today is incredible. It's such an inspiring story.
Thank you.
Tell us about further how you got into the nonprofit arena, or the fundraising arena for nonprofits, and how that led to you forming Lydia Sierra Consulting.
Oh, great question. From the age of 18 to 20, until my late 20s, I was doing programming. I was directing programs within a number of different nonprofits. And I had to get out of work. I had a personal reasons that I had to stop working, take care of one of my children. And I was 2 years out of the workforce. So when I went back to work, I took a job as a community organizer. And what I thought was a step down was actually the best opportunity. It was to serve as an organizer against the new Yankee Stadium, and also as a watchdog coalition for the development of the Bronx Terminal Market Gateway Mall.
Mhm.
So these were two huge development projects, and I learned how to lead in the community, and to lead from behind, and to really allow leaders within the community to rise and to speak up. And it was 5 years of like just it was my favorite job, I have to tell you. I still feel like an organizer at heart. And I swear I learned how money flows in communities. I truly learned who are all the stakeholders in the communities, and how they all work with each other for the economy of neighborhoods of a city. And when I learned that I could marry both my love for writing with raising money for my community, I found my passion. And I started writing proposals since 2005. At 2005, I started consulting. And then I had a few development director roles, and I learned, the pros and cons of, like, how nonprofits develop their development offices. And I never felt fully resourced. I never felt like I really was set up to really succeed. And so I relocated from New York, which was very difficult to do. They talk about, brain drain. And, there were many people that were very upset that I was leaving. I was upset, but I was drained out. And so I came to Rhode Island, and where I call it my little piece of heaven. I love it. And I decided to niche all the way down, and just do fund development. I was doing everything. I was doing board development. I was doing strategic planning. I was applying for 501(c)(3)s. I was doing everything. And so I decided, to have a successful business, I have to narrow down my niche. And I am very passionate about raising money for poor communities or underserved communities. And I've been doing it now since 2016. In 2016, I was doing it on my own. Then in 2018, I made my first hire, which was more of a admin position, when I was still doing the writing. And then a few years later, I hired my first writer. And yeah, I have a director of fund development now, who has been with me for 5 years plus. She leads the whole writing department, the whole fund development department. Now I get to work on the business, and it's a dream come true. It's a dream come true. Since 2021, this team that I have now has raised over $45 million. And
Wow.
a majority of it is for the Bronx, and Harlem. And these are the places where I grew up. And so it just transmutes my pain. It heals me every time we have a 25,000, 50. Our chat, we have an awards announcement chat in our project management system. And every time it pings, it's just such a dopamine rush for everybody in the company, and it just feels so good.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us more about your consulting firm, and what exactly you do for your clients, and what type of clients do you have?
So we work predominantly with grassroots organizations. mostly within, $1 million and up, 1 million to $10 million, mostly within, the youth development space, community health, a lot of environmental justice work, and we specialize in government proposals. So as we've scaled, as we've grown, we've learned that we really add capacity to development departments. That's truly our sweet spot. So we love to work with development departments that just have a lot of opportunities, but they just don't have the capacity to write, and to execute on them. And there we come in, and we add the capacity, like I mentioned.
That's awesome. That's excellent. So how many employees do you have in your company right now?
Currently eight, nine, and a few consultants. So it's approximately 15 of us.
Okay, wow. Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, you said you primarily work with grassroots organizations in the Bronx, given your origins, um, but you can serve pretty much anyone across the country.
Anyone across the country. We've served in a number of different states, including the West Coast. Yeah, and we write proposals in all different focus areas. We've written proposals for human sex trafficking, community health, placemaking, community building, affordable housing, arts education, cultural programming, substance abuse prevention. So we say this: we're the experts in writing the proposals, and our clients are the experts in their focus areas. And so our team is great at listening, interviewing, synthesizing information, writing proposals in the voice of the nonprofit, and being very strategic about the dollars that we go after and raising that money.
That's incredible. I mean, talk about like having true meaning in the work that you do, right? It's not just about, making money for your organization and the business and your employees. Like you're truly making an impact with your clients and the community, right? That's absolutely amazing. A lot of us don't have that in the type of work that we do. We definitely want to make an impact, and we feel good about helping our clients, but it is absolutely obvious what you're doing and when you're doing that. Can you tell us about tell us about a client story about where you made a huge impact in one of these organizations? Tell us what that looked like.
Um, I would say that what the organizations we work with are they're the ones making extraordinary impact in their communities. We are making impact in the lives of nonprofit leaders that we are supporting. So we have, executive directors that are doing their own grant writing and are overwhelmed. They can't, they haven't been able to find someone that they trust, or that they can afford, or that they just understand their model. And we come in, and I kept one of the quotes, a recent quote that I received from one of our latest clients, which happens to be a Haitian organization, which the immigrant community is really going through a lot right now. But what did she say? She said, working with my team feels like therapy. They listen, support, and guide me, and I always feel like I'm their only client. Like, that's it. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to help the nonprofit leaders, with their overwhelm, and just really help them to focus on the impact that they're making with their nonprofit.
That's wonderful. I mean, that's incredible when you receive feedback and a testimonial like that. So
Mm,
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very good.
Mm.
So the nonprofit sector right now is facing a lot of challenges these days. What are some of the biggest challenges that you're seeing with your clients?
Oof. the lack of federal grants has definitely taken a toll. Um, and it did have a lot of nonprofits scrambling, wondering like, how were they going to sustain certain programs and pivoting, right? There's been a lot of pivoting ever since COVID. And so one of the more recent challenges was the change in language for BIPOC organizations, people of color not being able to use certain language, marginalized communities, for instance. The whole that really it really hurt. It really hurts to not be able to write your story the way that you're experiencing it, and to be censored basically. And that has been a big challenge for many of the nonprofit leaders that we've spoken to. But our team is, they've been able to really focus on the impact that these organizations are trying to make, and still writing very compelling proposals, just focusing on the data. So yeah, and cities, states, and private foundations have stepped up. Many of them have opened their endowments. They're giving more money than before. So there's a lot of positive trends in the midst of all of the uncertainty.
Okay. Well, it's great that you're able to adapt and adjust and then guide your clients and help them with those challenges and see them through. It's probably something that would be very difficult for them to do themselves. And
Yep.
you understand what's happening. You understand those changes or those adjustments that you need to make, and you're able to really guide and help your clients through that.
Yeah.
Excellent. So Lydia, you have recently published a book. That's a big deal, right? So can you
Yeah.
tell us about the book, and
Okay.
then how can any of our listeners get a hand on a copy of it?
Yeah, sure. So here's the book, Perspectives on Possibility.
Excellent.
Um, I
I've
told
got
you
a
a little bit of
copy
my
here
story.
myself.
That's right, you do. The book is the book before the book, actually. So this book was written by my writing group. We have been meeting and we all working on our individual books, but we all, came to this like realization or revelation. We're like, we're all writing the same book, in terms of like the impact that we're trying to make in people's lives, and that 0 point being love. Like we all just believe in love being the highest frequency, being our guide, and we're all at the second half of our lives where we know what we don't know, and we're like, letting go of all those social constructs, the religious constructs, and just really realizing that, we're just spiritual beings, and that, it's just, and so we have these wonderful conversations, and we decided, hey, let's take a week off,
Mhm.
go to Canada, rent an Airbnb, and let's write a book together. And so it was amazing. One of the co-authors, she's a sound bowl healer. So she woke us up every morning with sound baths. She put us to bed with sound baths. We wrote all day. We ate amazing food. We swam. We swam in the lake. It was amazing. And so this book is so full of love. Like you just have to read it. It's just amazing. And it's on Amazon. The editor is Susan Crossman.
So it's the name of the book is
Perspectives on Possibility. What
Possibility.
what if nothing is as it seems? And so when you're going through loss, you're grieving, you're getting divorced, you're going through sickness, or losing a loved one to illness. We've been through it all. We talk about how we came out on the other side of these things, um, and we're now open to seeing possibility even in the most difficult and challenging times.
Awesome. And people can find that on Amazon.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
That's great. Everybody should check it out and get a copy and read it.
Thank you.
Excellent. Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about the business. So,
Mhm.
what were some of the early challenges you faced when starting up the business and just and going from a single consultant to actually creating the firm?
Well, the first thing is that vision, right? I think it has to be the vision. I started as an independent consultant, and I would have full-time jobs and work part-time on my consulting, and developing the vision, that I could actually make it a business. That was in the beginning, that was not even a thing. Like it was always going to be a side job, you and so allowing myself to believe that there could be more. I would say that that was one of the first challenges. Then when I moved here to Rhode Island, and I decided to start the business, I would say the second thing was realizing I had to narrow down my niche, because I was doing nonprofit organizational development, and that covers a lot of different areas. And so I'm like, no, in order for this business to be successful, I have to narrow it down. It has to be easy to sell, easy for my audience to know exactly what I'm doing. And so that's it. And then because I have like these multi talents, right? That's another issue, is like when you are passionate in so many different ways, you want to serve in so many different ways, that you get scattered, and so even though I started the business, I knew it was a fund development business. I still decided I was going to do some capacity building training. I was going to do that. And so what I did was I lost money. I lost money because I was investing from like the main service into what the CEO's sandbox, and then to find out I couldn't play in the sandbox anymore, and I had to let go of people. I had to revisit the vision. I had to streamline things, and there was a grieving process that could have been avoided.
Mhm.
I know this. This is something that I know. I see it happen in nonprofits all the time, where they want to serve people and meet so many different needs, and then they have multiple programs that are unsustainable. And I know all this. I teach against it, and yet I did it. And so it was a lesson, and now I'm pretty focused. I had to really let go and listen to my director of fund development, and really like let her show me like how she works best, how the team works best, and let go of my own ideas for providing additional services and stuff like that. So yeah, even though the business was streamlined, I wasn't as,
Mhm.
as disciplined. And then my team helped me to develop that discipline to just stick to what works. And because we're doing that, we've scaled, and we're growing.
That's awesome. And that challenge that you just talked about of getting really focused and staying focused it's not unique to you. It's not unique, I think, to the nonprofit industry. I see it everywhere. I see it with
Yep.
many of my clients. It's counterintuitive, right? We,
Yep.
we all have, multiple skills, and we know
Yep.
we can serve in many different ways. And so when we're building a business, we want to do all those things, but that really can dilute the message. And it's absolutely critical. I tell my clients all the time, you need to get hyper focused on what it is that you do best. Because that's going to identify what is your unique differentiator, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you need to also get focused on who you serve, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can't serve everybody. And so,
Yep.
but it's really tough, right?
Yeah.
To do that. And it's hard to wrap your head around it, but
Yeah.
it's great, and it's so important to your success that you realize that and you were able to make that adjustment and make that shift.
In the nonprofit sector, we call it being mission driven
Mhm.
over money driven. And it's simple, right? It's like you can't just go after grants, just because they're offering money. Like it has to be a fit, you know. it's the same thing like with a small business. Stay focused on your mission,
Mhm.
and don't dilute your service, don't dilute your brand just because you feel or see that there's money on the table.
Mhm.
Because I think that's part of it, especially when you're a small business and you're struggling to bring in revenue. You might feel like taking on things that you can do them, you can do them, so why not do them?
Mhm.
But if it's gonna, it's actually, it's almost like dating, right? Like if you're dating the wrong person and this is not the person you're gonna marry, you're just wasting time with them. You're wasting time to actually meet the right person, right? It's very similar to that, right? Like don't do work that you're not going to continue providing. It's going to confuse your audience, and then you're not going to have the capacity for when your true clients really come, or you're not even going to recognize them. They're going to pass you by
Yeah,
because you're distracted. Yeah.
100%. That's an absolutely critical lesson there, listeners, right? That
Yeah.
we just talked about. And it's like really finding that your unique why, your unique differentiator, your unique client, and getting and staying hyper focused on.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Were there any other challenges that you faced as you scaled the business?
So many. I mean, there's so many all along the way, right? Hiring my first employee, putting my first employee on salary, small businesses, hourly business, right? And so how do I put a person on salary when I'm being paid by the hour, And so it was one of those things, is watching the cash flow. Um, but I had a lot. I started with a lot of mini goals. I remember it was just like a thousand a week. I'm like, okay, let me just make $1,000 a week as a consultant. Then okay, I'm making those $1,000 weeks. So okay, can I make $5,000 months? Can I turn that into a $7,000 month? Can I turn that into a $10,000 month? And that's how I started. It was just incremental. And now my vision is up there now. But it took the struggle. It took the struggle to bring me to where I am now.
That's awesome. Excellent.
Yeah.
But was there anything that you wish you knew when you first started a business, when you were first getting going, besides what we just talked about? And what's the lesson and advice that you can give anybody who's thinking of doing something similar to what you've done?
um I hired my first business coach a few years into the business. And I would say it's get that business coach as soon as possible.
I love
Like,
that. I love what you're
yeah, we can't do it alone. We can't do this alone. We can't. And why not work with someone who's already been there, done that, can, blaze the trail with you, or show you that the trail's already been blazed. You like just walk through this path, And so I'm all about like trying not to reinvent the wheel, trying not to, just go crazy thinking about my problems when I know other people have already solved them, and just really sticking to my business networks and my business. I have two business coaches, so yeah, I'm all about the support.
That's great. Well, listen,
Yeah.
for our listeners, if anybody is that great advice, I love it, obviously, and anyone's looking for a great business or executive coach, reach out to me. I might know somebody. Um, last question for you. So first of all, that was absolutely awesome. The last question is for anyone who wants to get in touch with you, connect, or might need your services. What's the best way for them to do that?
My website, the Lydia Sierra Consulting.com. You can just peruse the website. You can subscribe to my newsletter. There's a contact form. You can get on my calendar through my website. And also through LinkedIn, Instagram. Yeah, we're on most of the social media platforms. But yeah, you just find me through my website. You can email me directly.
And that's and what's the URL for that?
Lydia Sierra Consulting, LYDIA SIERRA consulting.com.
Excellent. Awesome. So Lydia, thank you again for being my guest and sharing that story. It was so absolutely inspiring. And I think, especially just looking at, how you started off in life, where you came from and everything that you had to overcome and how you took that and turned it into this incredible business with purpose and meaning and drive is absolutely, I think, so inspiring for anyone out there, right? Who has faced similar challenges and wants to have true purpose and meaning in their lives. So thank you so much. I've really enjoyed hearing your story. It's absolutely incredible. So if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the Get OnPoint podcast on YouTube and Spotify and connect with me on LinkedIn or at onpoint-advisors.com. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, get on point, lead smarter, grow faster, and live better.